In part 2 of Legacy Lessons, LaTia shares more details about what she calls microaggressions and manipulations that forced her to walk away with no regrets. But you may be surprised to learn what the company did in response. How did that play itself in your life? Was it just, did you feel that way only when you were at the office? Or were you carrying that stress and that burden home to your family and your
I was
brothers,
carrying it
your
home.
friends? Yeah,
I
what
was
was that like for you?
I felt like I was losing myself.
Mm,
I felt like I wasn't living in my truth
yeah.
or reality. I was out as soon as I went to this firm, the people were asking me to speak here, speak there.
Mhm.
And I didn't feel good anymore because of where I was, where I was.
It affects
Um,
your confidence, don't you
It
think?
affected my confidence. All these things I have
Yes.
done in my life, I feel like I made some good power moves. Of course, I'm not perfect, but I felt like it wasn't good enough. Like I get here and it's just not good enough.
Mm,
There was a church that asked me, they were going to pay for everything. They were having their annual convention and they wanted me to come speak out in Texas. And, we are allowed it so many, so much money
mhm,
for to be able to donate to causes.
mhm,
And
mhm.
so this is one of the churches I wanted to. I wanted to go to this convention. He called me in his room and he said, "Hey, I pulled the church up." He zoomed in on the crowd. He zoomed in on this African American crowd and he said, "I don't think this will be worth your time."
Based on what? What was his based on
He
what?
said it just this isn't worth your time. Looking at the
But
crowd.
why? So he
Well, they
decided
were
that
clearly African American.
so that there's no money to
He
be
decided this didn't look like they had money.
say it. That's what it was.
That's
Bias,
exactly what it was. And
prejudice.
it was prejudice. And I was when you're in those
I know you were
moments, like
stunned. You don't know what to do or say.
I
You're
was,
like, "Do
I
do I
was,
say something? Do I" Yeah, you're caught in the middle. You're
I
like,
was
"I don't
caught
know
in the
where to go with
middle.
this."
He was
Mhm,
acting like he had my best interests. Like
mhm,
this is your best interest that you're gonna go all the way here, away from your business here, and this
mhm.
just isn't worth your time. He pulled up all these Zooms from the one they had last year and the year before, and all of the crowd was African American. And he
Mm.
said it was just this isn't gonna be worth your time.
That's so sad. Didn't know the congregation, didn't know the
Didn't know the
history
congregation. And
there
everything I was doing was not just for money. I wanted to be a
to
presence.
give back, to be
I
to
wanted to give back. I wanted my voice to,
mhm,
and I know that there's a payoff there. I know there's a payoff. It's not an immediate, but I know
mhm.
there's a payoff. It made me feel good to pour into my
Yeah.
community.
And that's what it's about, is educating and bringing awareness. And like you said, it may not have paid off in a contract or a relationship or collaborative, business relationship, but you're educating. And
I'm
that's what we need
educating.
more of in our community. And for someone to say they're not worth it, wait, don't waste your time. It is belittling of who you are
For
as a Black
me.
sitting there. You're basically telling me I'm not worth it because those people, they're me and I'm them.
Absolutely.
Mm,
Absolutely. And that is what I was losing right then and there. I was losing my voice. I know I'm a vocal
mm,
person and I
mm,
know I speak well for myself, but
mhm,
wanted to be, I wanted to still support
mhm.
the women that were there. I wanted to
Absolutely.
support my community. I felt like
Mhm,
I had a good thing going. And I felt like he was using those things against me because
wow.
I had already gotten my whole family. Everyone believed because it's me. It's not because it's just, hey,
Yeah.
this is a good thing. They believed
They
in
believe
me.
you. Right.
And
Th
I felt like I had that weight of my community and business owners that I knew and the family that I've supported. I felt like they trusted me with their money, and just to make good decisions on their future. So I didn't just want to walk away right then and there. It was a little complicated by then because now we're out and about, we're showing our face everywhere. We're this big force. We were a presence walking in spaces. So it was paralyzing.
Oh my gosh.
It
What
was
is
paralyzing.
mm, I feel your pain because I have been there. I have been there. Was there ever a time when you thought, maybe this is just happening to me? Maybe I'm the only one experiencing this. Maybe I'm not doing something right. Perhaps I need to bring in some more cookies and donuts for everybody the next day. Like you're trying to think of all the ways in which you can find or curry favor with this particular person. And yet, did you find yourself doing that, trying to figure out how do I become less acceptable to this kind of reaction and relationship with this person?
Yeah, I think we all do it sometimes,
Yeah,
I think what's going on in your mind. Like that doesn't go away. Your gut
your gut
tells you
tells you.
that
Yeah.
this isn't right. This
Mhm.
isn't right. But I think the abuse is when you try to, you know, figure out like what can I do better? Like let me
Mhm.
go harder, let me try to play along, a
Mhm.
little bit over here to get along. And I've never been that.
I've never been that girl
I've
either.
worked for
Yeah,
myself my
yeah,
entire life.
yeah,
So that
yeah.
I'm authentic. Like
Right. What you
I
get
came here
who I
because
show
I'm
up as
authentic.
is this is who I am.
Yeah, this is who I am. I don't know how to play the game. If that,
Mhm.
I am not a game playing person.
Right.
And I would have other advisors tell me that have worked in corporate for a long time.
Mm.
Your problem is you don't really know how to play the game.
Who has time to play the game?
Yeah, like you're too
The only
outspoken.
No, the only game I wanna play is let's be authentic. Let's show up as our true authentic selves. Let's collaborate and work together, and all of us can win
And
at
all
the
of us
same
can
time.
win.
That's
All of
it.
us can
I'm
win.
not competing against you. I'm competing against myself to be the better version every single day. But I'm happy for you. I'm happy for you. I'm happy for this person because when that person wins, we're all on the same team. We all win.
We all
And I
win.
don't understand why there's so many people in this world who don't understand that concept. There's enough to go around for every single person. As I've
Yeah.
been doing a lot of research on workplace abuse because I never understood that what I was going through was actually abuse. It took me going to three different therapists, and the final therapist is the one who, after explaining the egregiousness of what I was going through, the fact that I was emotionally traumatized, I literally thought my soul was dying. And I remember telling my husband one night, I said, I don't know if I'm going to make it. I said, because I keep spinning my wheels trying to do my job. And at every turn, it's being yanked out and pulled out from underneath my feet for no reason. But I'm seeing other people continue to do their jobs easily, easily. What is it about me? And the only thing that I could think of is the color of my skin. I mean, what else? Because you can't talk about my work ethic. It was
No.
phenomenal. It's always been amazing. Anybody who's known me since I was a child will tell you that I am always the hardest working person in the room.
Yep.
That is who I am. That is my work ethic. And as Black women, as Black people, we're always told you have to be 10 times better. So we're going to always, for the most part, show up with our
We're gonna
A
show
plus
up.
game. We're going to show up. And so when someone is trying to intentionally, not trying, when they are intentionally abusing you, I didn't understand that that's what it was until I went to the therapist. So when did you begin to understand? Did you find yourself feeling so dismayed that you just wanted to walk away, to give up? Did you go to a therapist? Like, how did you finally get to the place and to the point where you had enough courage to say, I see you, I'm
Um,
out?
I think for me, the turning point when I knew this wasn't for me, this place wasn't for me, is when I was called into a room and I was told, "Hey, I think you need to change your language. I think
Your
you need to
language, what
I
language?
I think you need to change your I am the most when I say I'm relatable to the people that I
Oh,
meet. Every client is everyone has their purpose for who they
right.
sit down with. I
Mhm.
have an audience for who I connect
Mhm,
with. When I
mhm,
was told that all of those years of experience as a hairstylist and turning that into a business,
mhm,
owning and operating two salons, a boutique,
mhm,
all
mhm,
the things I've done in that space, that I
mhm.
should not mention that I was a hairstylist.
But why? Why?
I wouldn't
Why
be
not? Why not?
relatable. People are not going to trust me. People are,
Right, because if anything, you're showing people, "I'm a regular woman just like you." Period.
absolutely,
I've
that
had a
it
number of
wasn't seen that way.
experiences that have allowed me to be in this space to help you with your business, to help you with your entrepreneurial efforts, to help you with your financial with your finances for your business and or family. The bottom line is that is relatable. It's
That's relatable.
relatable. And you
Yeah.
have a right to show up as your authentic self in every place and space you go to.
And that is exactly what I said. Said,
Oh, are you
I'm not
serious?
dumbing myself down. I'm not
Yeah.
changing my language. That's who I
Mm,
am. You're telling me
mm,
to erase a major part of who I am and who has shaped me
yeah.
into the woman I am today. Like
What was
I
his
won't
response?
I won't compromise that for anybody. So
Right.
that's when I really, really start looking at things a lot differently. Um,
Let me ask you though, before you go on, when you said that to him, what was his reaction, his response?
well, actually, he sent someone else to tell me that. He sent
Oh,
he
he had
sent
somebody else
he
do the bidding.
he sent, he sent someone else, that looks like us to tell me that, um,
Ooh,
to deliver that information. Um,
mm,
so that reaction, it became a little not combative, but it was a lot of
yeah,
back and forth because
sure.
I felt disrespected.
Yeah, yeah.
I
Well, the
felt
disrespect comes from not just what was being said and told to you, but the fact that he didn't have the wherewithal and the level of professionalism to say something to you personally.
personally.
Let's just have a conversation. That's what this
Let's
is. Let's
have
have
a
a conversation. Let's
conversation.
have a meeting of the minds. But that is a blatant, for me, sign of disrespect.
A blatant sign. If somebody
I said
doesn't even
and I said
respect
it.
where you came from, they don't even
Exactly.
respect what you've done before you got
Mm-mm.
here.
Mhm.
I think that for me was just, just to let me know where this is not going to
Yeah.
change. This culture is
Yeah.
broken clearly. And
Mhm.
before I actually left, there were incidents that already had been happening with other,
Mhm.
myself and then the other
Mhm.
women. I witnessed the India incident where she got pushed out, the door slammed in her face. And um, I remember her standing in that door, and it was the most, when I tell you,
Mm.
I was humiliated. I remember everyone sitting down and this Black woman standing in the doorway, in the corner of the door, not even trying to figure out what is happening right now, because we were in a
Yeah.
single file line coming
Mhm.
into the office. And you decide at 8 o'clock on the nose, she was walking right behind me to slam the door in her face as a
You've
woman.
got to be kidding
So
me.
she stood there like in awe. And I remember sitting there, and he just started going around asking everyone, "Oh, what are your goals? What are your goals?" Like it was nothing. And the room was uncomfortable, but I am the only one that decided when they got to me to say,
What did you
I'm
say?
not going to speak about my goals until you tell me why my girl is still standing in the doorway.
Girl, please tell me you said that.
Yes, I did. I
Mm.
sure
And
did.
so what was the energy in the room when you said that? Because
The
here's what happens.
energy, it was like
When
you
you
can pop the
Ooh,
balloon.
girl,
It was like you can
right.
pop the balloon because
Oh,
I couldn't like
yeah,
I
you
just
can't
didn't
you
like the
can't
look
dismiss
of
that.
that. I didn't like the look of that.
Mhm.
It's not that many Black people that's even in the office. It was just a
That's
couple of
ins
us in there. And then this is a
what's so
woman.
it's a woman and it's a Black woman, and when you treat people like that, you are sending a message, 1, that this kind of behavior is tolerated because you're the main person in charge, and you are giving clues to everyone else that they're not worthy, that they're not
Exactly.
valuable, that they can be disrespected because you're doing it. You were setting the tone for the culture in that
We're
workplace
setting the
environment.
tone. Yeah, so he called me in the office of course,
Mhm.
afterwards to explain. There's
But
all
wait,
this.
wait, 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 let me get back. So when you said that to him in the meeting with everybody else, what was his response? What did he say?
I believe he had a response like, we're gonna move on. We're gonna move
Mm,
on. So it was
nothing to
some,
see here.
yeah, we're gonna move on. We'll deal with this later. He just wanted to get past that moment of me.
Mm,
I didn't give him my goals. You
right. So what
move
I'm not
past
gonna
me
do
because I am
mhm,
too upset
that
about
I was
what has
about to say,
happened.
yeah, yeah,
I I can't even
how do
think,
you move
and
on?
that's what I said.
Yeah, mhm, wow.
So I just couldn't, that is the part of me that I felt like I was losing. I'm like, I can't sit here
Mm,
any longer and see this abuse and not
mhm,
say anything. Like I knew I
yeah,
wasn't gonna last. So
yeah,
things
yeah,
just start happening. I believe with, I'm gonna say, with being outspoken, I think,
mhm,
and when there's one outspoken woman or two, it's better to have that so other people can feel confident on speaking
yes,
up for
for
themselves.
themselves,
And I
right.
think that's where he got intimidated, because
Mm,
we were no longer, we're not going to be women that's just going to sit here and tell us to be quiet and
yeah,
shut up and do all those things, and then you get away with it. We were outspoken and speaking up for ourselves, so that just became a problem. So,
did at that point when you began to feel like you were a target, because once you begin to speak
yes.
up, tell people who they are and what you will not tolerate, when you show up as your authentic self and you say, "That's disrespectful. Why did you do X, Y, and Z? That's a lie. Don't gaslight me. What you're saying and how you're treating me is disrespectful. That's harassment." Whatever the
That's
case may be,
harassment.
when you stand up to people who believe that they are so powerful, more, holier than thou, powerful, if you will, they don't like it because they've never been challenged. They've been able to get away with it for so
And that's
long.
what it
And
was.
that's when you become the target because they realize, "Uh-oh, I don't have someone who's going to follow me and do what I tell them to do. As some people say, I got a wild one on my hands."
Mhm. We
Mm,
became a target one by one.
mm.
I sensed he could not keep all 3 Black women. I
Oh,
sensed that. I sensed
it
that.
was
So
yeah.
he started picking apart and messing with each one of us. The
Mhm,
first one was, India.
mhm.
So, he just began down that road, that path of just messing with us,
My lord.
isolating each one of us.
Mhm.
So India became the
Trying to
first person.
pit all 3 of you guys against each other, I'm
Yeah,
sure.
then he started putting first he tried to put all of us against each other.
Mhm.
He would play the manipulative game, like he took me to the
Oh,
side. This is why I did India like this. She's doing this, this, this. And I'm like, wait a minute, she's not that person. I've never known her to be that. Then he would
right.
try to say things about, Kenyatta and talk about her. And that's his leader. So he played that manipulation game and he
Oh
thought
my
that
god.
was going to work. And I'm like, this man is crazy.
Yeah.
I just remember saying that. And then once India left and that happened, that's when I start making the phone calls
Mhm.
as well. I know there was someone that called initially, but that's when I start making the phone calls to the
Now when you
corporate.
say making the phone calls, you started calling corporate and
I start
saying
calling corporate. I start having many conversation with
mhm.
the head of diversity inclusiveness. I met with them. I talked about what was going on, and they got on it. It became
So
a
when you
case.
So what did they do? Because, there are a lot of I won't say a lot. There are some companies out there where, you go to HR, they tell you, "Hey, if anything unsightly happens, or untoward happens or whatever, come to us, let us know. If you have a complaint, if you see something, say something." And when people see something and say something, you are literally a target again.
Yeah,
Sometimes the companies do very little. They pacify you so that you'll just forget about it and it'll just go away and nothing really changes. Did the company do anything to address the issue?
I don't believe they did anything. I We were told that things were going to be done. Something's going to happen. We're going to have someone come down. So I do believe, I know for a fact, the
Mm-hmm.
president came down. It
The
did get
president
to
is
the
coming.
top. It
Okay.
did get to the top. On
Mm-hmm.
that same day, I first of all, I asked to be moved to a different office.
Mm-hmm.
Um, we were told prior to that, when people were trying to move to a different office, hey, us managing directors decided a long time ago that if anybody ever moved to if anybody ever wanted to move to another office, we wouldn't let them. So they
Mm-hmm.
made it seem like that was impossible for anyone to move to another office. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So things had already gotten bad. India was gone. Kenyatta was just working at another office. So he
Mm-hmm.
said, hey, the culture's broken. He called us in one by one, advisors.
Mm-hmm.
So he said, and he said, the culture's broken here and I want to repair it. There's a lot that has happened. So will you be a part of fixing the culture? If not, she said, if you're a part of fixing the culture, we're going to take time out to do bonding experiments and take time out of our practice to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll have to sign this agreement.
Ooh, what
Yeah,
was
he
the
said I would
agreement?
have to
What were you
sign an
signing?
agreement. He said, if
Uh,
not, then you can go to another office. He said,
mm-hmm.
and your contract will be moved to another office.
Okay.
I then said, let me think about it because I was scared at that moment. I'm like, is he just trying to push me
Yeah.
out? Like,
Yeah.
what's happening?
Mm-hmm.
So I went to corporate office. I
Mm-hmm.
called HR. I let them know what was happening. I had a paper trail of everything that was going on, what he has presented to me, and they knew about everything. So I went back to him and said, you know what? Yeah, I do want to move. So
Mm-hmm.
he said, hey, it's going to be an easy transition. You can pick which managing director you want to go to. So I reached out to the other managing directors and they was like, yeah, I would say I had a good name, you know.
Yeah.
I hadn't
Gosh.
really had any issues with the other managing directors. So they was like, yeah, we would, fine, you can
Love
come over
having
here.
you on board.
You
Yeah.
can come over here. And I thought it was going to be all good, and I was tricked. Right when I got there, I started asking about my contract. I no longer want my contract to be with this man.
Yeah.
Everybody start acting like they don't. Well, we got to meet. We got to talk about the contract. So my
Mm-hmm.
contract started being in limbo. So the same day that the president came, I now had a meeting with the managing partner.
Mm-hmm.
And he met with me and said, this is what we have decided as far as your contract. This is after 2 months. I stopped my business. I stopped making money. I didn't want to make another dime in this office waiting for my contract to be moved. And he said, hey, we're just going to let you stay in this office, but your
Mm-hmm.
contract is going to be in limbo until next year, and then it'll be moved.
Oh, wow. Until
Mhm.
next year. That would have been how many
Till
more months
next
later?
year. So it was like five
Mm,
months left.
mm,
So at that moment, I felt like nothing was happening. Nothing
mhm,
was happening to him. He was getting away with what he was doing.
mhm.
He was sending word through people saying I was going to fail out of the business, just running his mouth and doing more manipulative things. So I decided to leave. I decided to resign. And it was called
Wow.
a mutual
Parting of the way.
termination.
Termination. Okay.
I didn't like the mutual because
Because it wasn't
I
mutual
just
on
left.
your
Yeah, I
side. You just
resigned
walked
properly.
away. Yeah.
But they told me it had to be called a mutual termination. And then, just after that, after I decided to move and go elsewhere, then I'm hit with the lawsuit.
So they filed a lawsuit against you
Hmm.
for what? For what?
Um, broke my contract.
So they told you that you have to sign a mutual termination
Uh-huh.
and then flipped the script and
And then
now they're
flip the
like,
script.
"Well, you broke your contract." Uh,
From his
where
office. The
from
office
his
that I was supposed to be out of that contract anyway. I was told I could move to a different office. It was going to be a smooth transition. Everybody knew about my contract being moved. every like
Mhm.
advisor too would talk to me, and this is bull crap. What's going on with
Right.
your contract? I was in limbo. I wasn't making any money because I didn't want to work for his office anymore. He told me
Right.
I could move, and it wasn't
You weren't
honest.
comfortable. Yeah.
I
Yeah, and it
wasn't
wasn't
I
honest.
wasn't comfortable. And so
Right.
they sued me for that. And then they said I basically clients that got rid of their policies, they're suing me for that. Suing me also for like annual event. I went to an annual event. Now you want me to pay for the hotel.
Are
Just
you kidding me? Mm.
they're just
I know
putting
you're
all
telling
kind
me
of crazy on the claims.
so this has been going on for how long
This
now?
has been going on since 2022.
2022, and here we are in the beginning of
Here
2024.
we are
So
in the beginning.
so what's the current disposition of the legal case that they have against you, and did you do file a counterclaim and
That's
say,
what
"Well,
I'm in the
guess what?"
process. That's what I'm We
Okay.
originally had gotten together, us and some, myself,
Mhm.
Kenyatta, India, and a group of other women,
Mm.
and we were fighting a counterclaim together,
Together.
as
Yeah.
women.
Mhm.
And that has been in a standstill, but I am
Mhm.
now in the process of doing my own due diligence
Yeah.
for myself. It's just
Mhm.
sitting there. They let
So
it
what
get
are they
to
wanting from
almost.
you? Are
Hmm?
they filed this lawsuit, or it seems like several kind of infractions against you, if you will. What is it that they want from you? They want you to pay
Money.
them?
They want me to pay them. And it started out as, they came with this saying that I have to owe these
Mhm.
monies. And then, a year down the line, now they put more on there as people, get rid of their policies, or anyone
Mhm.
that I had prior.
Mhm.
They want to stick me with that. First of all, when I leave there, I no longer own those clients.
Right. Those clients
Those
stay with
clients are
them.
no longer my clients, you
Mhm.
know.
Unless they purposely or intentionally decide to leave on their own, that
On
has
their
nothing to
own.
do with
They
you.
own
Right.
them. I have no way of looking into any files. I no longer have access to the emails, nothing.
Mhm.
I don't have access to them. I don't even know what
Mhm.
status they're in. I don't
So
even
let
know
me
what
ask you,
status they're in.
do you think they're doing this to try to keep you silent, to keep you from speaking up, to keep you
And
from
that's the reason why I
sharing your
wasn't speaking
experience?
before.
Yeah.
I didn't know what to do at first.
Mhm.
I'm like, has never happened to me. The first place I go, like I spent all these years in a career, and then
Mhm.
now I get out to do something great in the community, and this is what I
Mhm.
encounter on my first, you
Yeah.
know, in my first place. Like I just felt like
Mhm.
it was unethical. There was no
Absolutely.
moral. They have no morals, no boundaries. I didn't know because I had never dealt with the system in that way. So I felt like they could possibly get away with this. They
Right.
could possibly get away with the mistreatment and the misconduct
Mhm.
of how they treated me. So if I go silent and never say anything, and I'm not going to lie, I didn't know what to do, but just hearing, it
Mhm.
were times that I wanted to just put stuff on Facebook, social media, and
Mhm.
just get it started. But then I would say, I can't. I
I
can't
can't.
right now. I don't know what's going to happen because of the legal ramifications of what could happen to me. So that is the reason why I chose to not say anything. But I feel like the more I stay silent, remain silent, this is just going to keep going unnoticed.
So so what makes you now feel comfortable enough to speak and to not remain silent? Because you're still embroiled in a potential, well, I mean, legal case
Yeah,
with them or against
yeah.
them against you. Why now?
I am a When it comes to women and feeling empowered, and I couldn't allow my fellow sisters' voices to go out there without me sharing my experience,
Mhm.
and without me, helping others. So
So you're
I would
supporting
say
them.
I wanted to support them, and I wanted to support me as well. So I
Yeah.
felt like it needed to be said, and hopefully it will empower others to come forth,
Yeah.
because this is not this just started with us, but
Ooh,
just the way women have been getting treated has
yeah.
been there for a long time. Um, so that's the reason why I came forth.
Mm,
So just them two alone, I couldn't allow them to speak out and then me just remain
mm.
silent. I am not that kind of woman.
You're not that chick, right.
I'm not
It's
that
so
chick.
funny though. I'm not that chick. I say all the time, "I'm that chick who ain't afraid." Like, don't think I might be a little quiet, a little introverted, and people think that I'm a wallflower and that I don't
Hmm.
speak up and that I'll just accept anything. I'm that chick who ain't afraid. I don't care who you are. I don't care how much
Exactly.
money you have. I don't care what your title is. I don't care. When you're
Exactly.
doing wrong, I'm going to call you out on it, especially when it's affecting my life and my family's life.
It's
How has
affecting my
this
life.
affected your mental health?
Um, it's definitely affected my mental health and how I go into my seasons coming out of where, from being a stylist and having owning
Mhm.
my own businesses and knowing that God has other rooms prepared for me.
For
It
already
has
prepared.
me looking with a side eye at everybody
Mhm.
and thinking,
Mhm.
there are motives here, like, can I
Yes, yes.
trust you? Like,
Oh my
there's
gosh.
a
Yes.
lot of mistrust in
Mhm,
what
mhm.
people tell me or making everything look shiny, and like it's for me. And I have to do my homework
Yeah,
on really praying and fasting on, is this really
mhm.
for me? Like just the
Right.
motives alone. So it has really affected my relationships with, I would
Mhm,
say, just
mhm.
going into these corporate spaces,
Yeah,
um,
yeah.
because I've never been exposed to that
Yeah,
life.
that's the thing. When it happens, you're like, "Wait a minute, this isn't feeling good.
This
This
isn't
I've
feeling
never
good.
experienced this before. This is not right." And so you are trying to navigate around it, and then you realize all the navigating in the world is not going to save you.
Yeah.
What have you learned about yourself? Last couple of questions as it relates to this experience. Who have you become because of this experience? Because I believe that every experience creates a new reality, and that new reality can be, I'm more resilient, I'm more, I have more perseverance, I have even more confidence than what I had before. How has this affected you?
Yeah, I definitely am a firm believer of everything that we go through in life is to build us. If it
Yes,
doesn't break
to
us, it
fortify
is
us.
to build us. It is to build
Mhm,
our character, build our knowledge, build our expertise in wherever
yeah,
God has prepared for us.
mhm,
So I look at this situation as a learning experience. There are so many
yeah,
women that I come in contact with, and so many women that I am going to have to speak and pour into their lives. So this has just built my character. It's made
yeah,
me have more compassion for people, for women, for the women that, work in these spaces, because I know now what you go
you
through on
know,
a daily basis.
absolutely.
The thing I would always tell people, and I say now, as a hairstylist, I thank God for where I've come from because
Mhm,
people had their mask off. Women had their
yeah,
mask off. Like I
mhm,
met people where they were. I don't care if
mhm,
you're a doctor, a lawyer, a political figure.
mhm,
Women were women. When they sat in my chair, women are authentic, they're themselves,
yes,
and I meet them at their core. And
mhm,
when you go into these spaces, people have the mask on.
mhm. Yes,
They,
yes,
they
yes.
can't trust you. Like they don't
Mhm,
want to open up. They don't want to be vulnerable. But I have been fortunate and blessed enough to meet women at that level my
mm,
entire life. So I know when I meet
yeah,
women who they
mhm,
are, if this is a
yes,
representation, if they are really having to put on because they don't trust me or they don't trust
yeah,
anyone. So it has just made me more self-aware. I have more compassion for women
mhm,
and the
mhm,
struggles and the things that
yes,
we go through, and the
mhm,
lens that I can now see that through, because I wasn't able to see that
for
through
yeah,
that lens at first.
absolutely. What would be your advice and your message for other women, people who are going through a workplace abuse scenario and they're trying to decide, do I stay? Do I leave? What's your message for them?
Um,
Do I speak up?
Yeah, you got to speak up first of all, and I think that's gonna take courage. It's gonna You're gonna have to have self reflection, self awareness. You have to
Mhm.
look at yourself in the mirror. It's not about anybody else. It's about being true to you, because that ultimately will break you over time. It's not an immediate breaking, but it will
Mhm.
break your spirit. It will
Yes,
break your
your soul.
spirit.
Mhm.
So I will just say, if you are a person that prays or whatever you do for yourself to tap into yourself, you just have to build that self awareness of self, to
Yes.
know yourself, to know that no price tag, no loyalty, nothing. There is nothing in life that will cost you to lose sleep at night and not be able to look at your family, your friends, yourself in the mirror because you taking bull crap every day.
Yeah,
That is what I would just tell people, that you have to love yourself more. If I didn't
absolutely.
love myself, if I
Mhm.
didn't already go through what I went through and the sacrifices and the trials that I went through as a woman, it built me up to where I was. And I was able to
Absolutely.
look at that situation and say, this ain't me.
Right. This
This
is
is not
and
me.
I don't deserve this.
I don't deserve this. I am worthy. I am worthy.
Amen. Amen. Last thing I wanna ask you, and it's kind of a yeah, it is a question. I always end the show with telling people because a lot of people don't believe our stories. We could tell them, they're like, "Oh, that didn't happen. I don't believe you." Like, and I'm thinking, "Who could make this up?" I mean, Shonda Rhimes could do a great job of making it up.
Yeah, yeah.
But life, sometimes, art imitates life. And this life that we are living, working in environments that are not safe for women, that are not safe
Mercy.
for people, that are not safe for humanity, and nothing's being done, what would you like to see be done? What's the
Um,
solution here?
More support groups.
Yeah,
We
nice.
need to, so we need each other. Um, this taught me that we need each other. Um,
Mhm,
we need to find out who these laws were created for
mhm,
one, that to
mhm.
protect people, to protect these individuals from being held accountable for their
That's
actions.
right.
Like,
Accountability.
why are
Absolutely.
they so protected? Why can we not go to corporate and just say, hey, this is what is happening here?
And
And
then
then there be
corporate do
solutions,
something.
and they do
Absolutely.
something. Like, they
Right.
are being protected. It angers me to know that an individual like that is still
Mhm,
in that position when I know I wouldn't have been able to be in that position,
mm,
or anyone of color would not be able to be in that position
you would have
had
been out so fast.
they would have been out fast.
Mhm,
Why are you able to mistreat people like that? So I
yeah,
think we have to be more vocal. And I think a lot of us live in fear of
yeah,
what someone may think or what someone may say.
yeah,
Will I get a job,
or what they'll
you know,
do. Right,
about
absolutely.
my next venture? Will anyone hire me after this? Well, if this stays on my record, he is trying to prevent me from
From
working
having a
anywhere else.
livelihood. I talked about people not believing our stories, and I always say, if no one believes your story, I do. I see you and I hear you, and thriving is my birthright. It's your birthright. It's the birthright of every single person on this earth. How do you thrive? How do you define thriving for you and your life?
Um,
What does thriving look like to you?
Thriving for me is being able to look at my children and
Mm,
know that they look up to me.
mm,
That's thriving. To For my kids to be proud of
that's
me.
mhm,
I didn't get the opportunity to see my parents
mhm,
in their finest.
mm,
So I that was snatched away from me, to share those moments with my parents,
mm,
and to see my mother be powerful, and these health issues and things like that were it snatched that away from me. So thriving for me is for my kids to say, "You go, mama."
You
You
go,
go, mama.
mama.
It ain't money. It's not money, but it's
It's
like
not about money.
it's not. It's like, Mom, what you got going on? Oh, you're doing that today? Oh my God. You're speaking where you're doing this,
That's
that's thriving.
beautiful.
Or me to be able to take my children somewhere, just being resilient, seeing, my kids seeing me overcome something. Like
Mhm.
that is thriving to me. That is a survivor to me.
It's a
It's not that I
survivor.
went through it, it's how I came out of
Gotten out of it. Amen. Go, mama. You're doing it.
it.
LaTia, cannot thank you enough for having the courage
Yes, ma'am.
to step out and to be brave enough to speak because so many people are afraid. You are that chick
Amen.
who ain't afraid.
Amen. Thank you. I appreciate you.
We
You too. Bravo to
appreciate
you
you.
as well.
Bravo to you. We're going to make a difference together. I believe it.
Absolutely.
I
Absolutely.
believe it. I think the more we keep talking and the more women and men and whoever just, jumps on the good trouble bandwagon, we will make a difference. I believe it. And I
Amen.
can't wait to celebrate that when a bill is passed, the Workplace Psychological Safety Act, in addition to changing the Civil Rights Act. All of us together are going to make this happen. And I'm so happy that you are part of this team and this
Yes,
collective
I am.
to make it happen. Yeah. God bless you.
Thank
God
you.
bless you. I'm
God
going to
bless
thank
you
you
too. It was so wonderful.
so
Thank you for having me.